with 24. This is shaping up to be a great game.
It certainly is. Denmark All-Stars ranked 25th so far in the tournament. Indigenous actually ranked 24th. So according to the rankings, this is going to be a very close matchup, Snatch.
And just to clarify for those of you watching at home, the rankings are also done on points differential, not just win-losses, because this is roller derby and it's more complicated than that. And lead is assessed to Denmark's jammer. That is 3-2-1 Ponycat. Now coming in on a scoring pass, takes the apex, does not land within bounds, forced to reset. Comes back, swoops around the outside, checked in the shoulder by 1680 Daryl of Team Indigenous, and a penalty assessed to Ponycat, so this jam will run for the full 2 minutes.
That's right, cutting the track penalty assessed on Ponycat there, sending them to the bin. Play now moving to the second straight away. We see Interstellar Burst trying to get that star off to their pivot. Not quite getting a lot of purchase there. That Denmark All-Stars blocking contingent really holding down the progression here, really trying to kill this penalty. I see Ponycat now leaving the bin, going to re-engage with the pack snatch.
Yeah, a great power kill there by Denmark All-Stars. Sophie Bay takes a bit of a dive, looks to the ref, is being issued with a low block, so barely 5 seconds out of the box, and Ponycat is going to sit another 30 seconds. So Denmark having to reset their walls to contain Team Indigenous, and we have barely moved around the track in the last minute. You know, we were in the pivot line, now we're coming back to the top of the apex, but it is very slow progression. Both teams doing a fantastic defensive job. Goodness me, I'm out of breath just watching this, Maxby. I don't know about you.
I certainly am. Let's talk about those Denmark blockers there. 2 power jam opportunities, and the 1 jam managed to hold Team Indigenous to only 5 points.
Yeah, really great shutdown there by Denmark, who of course did have some excellent practice yesterday against Team Altiora. You know, they had a tough game there, but a great opportunity to work on that defensive strategy. And we do now have a power start for Team Indigenous, but Ponycat is back in play, and Ponycat takes the lead for Denmark out of the box, but it is number 23 for Team Indigenous, Bashful, in front of Ponycat. We have a jammer race.
We're having a bit of a race in the pack as well, starting to speed up kind of straight away, but the jam is called, and it looks like 4 points picked up by Team Indigenous. Nothing for Denmark All-Stars in that last jam. The speed of that definitely went into Indigenous's favor.
Oh, the Bashful, incredibly skillful speed skating there, just pushing Denmark to the point where they were stressed and kind of beyond control, and that has seen the lead remain with Denmark All-Stars, but a 1-point game on this track. Unbelievable derby right now.
We have an official timeout being called. It's a great time to mention one of our sponsors, Fifth Blocker Skates, skater owned and operated since 2011, based in Glasgow, Scotland. It's Pure Gallus, fifthblockerskates.com.
Could you perhaps explain the meaning of Pure Gallus for our viewers at home, and for me also?
So if one is gallus, one is boisterous or cocky.
I see. That's an excellent word, and I think we've got a lot of gallus players on track right now. Is that fair assessment?
I think that is a fair assessment. That is the textbook definition of gallus right there on the tracks.
You've got some gutsy derby going on here, folks. If you're on this stream, please do stay with us. I would just like to reflect back super quickly on the start before the game started. You did see on your live stream Team Indigenous skating around the track with different flags. Each member of Team Indigenous has brought the flag representing their nation. So unlike the other teams at the World Cup skating under one flag, Team Indigenous are skating under many different flags. and really using that to show their pride as a team without borders or from multiple different nations.
We are back into action now. Robsham is going to take a power jam start in favor of the Denmark All-Stars. Team Indigenous starting with their jammer in the bin right now. 5 seconds called. We're going to get back to the action.
Nice little shot of our officials there doing what they do best. And Robson engages with the Indigenous wall. And 3 simultaneous knee taps on the outside of the apex. Robson back up, pushing at the front. Indigenous holds strong, but Robson does scoop through and has lead assessed for Denmark All-Stars.
Back holding strong, coming into the first apex there. There's that little hop over the apex for Robson. That's going to be 5 points for Denmark.
And you saw Juggernaut Jelly running some distractive offense there, I should say, as Robson came in for that apex jump. Robson now around for another scoring pass. Takes a knee on the track, will be forced to reset. And Bashful was out of the box and showing that speed, forcing Robson to call the jam.
Scores on the doors now, 33 points in favor of Team Indigenous, but the Denmark All-Stars on 39. Just under 20 minutes left in this first period of play. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Roller Derby World Cup 2018. You're watching the Denmark All-Stars versus Team Indigenous.
And it is also a great pleasure to be on the Rainy City Roller Derby track. Of course, Rainy City Roller Derby are hosts for this 2018 World Cup, and they have done a fantastic job putting together this tournament so that you can watch this wonderful game from the comfort of your own home, sofa, computer at work, wherever you happen to be in the world. You are seeing Tinker with the star for Denmark. Now, this is the first time that Tinker has jammed today for Team Denmark, and I do not believe they jammed yesterday either. This may be their first jam of the tournament. We have gone past turn 2. We are coming into turn 3, and still no lead has been assessed. All players on track. Tinker trying to take that outside edge and just shut down by this Indigenous wall. So solid at the front, but Tinker, after more than a minute of play, has been called lead for the Denmark All-Stars. You're seeing the pack snarled up at the apex. Beautiful little bit of offense there from Team Denmark All-Stars to get Tinker out for 5 points. And 207 from Team Indigenous. That's Scoria with the star. Engages with the Denmark wall. Tries to take the out, is stuck behind that tripod as Tinker at the front is still pushing, attempting to push Indigenous out of play. Tinker forced to reset, but that is the end of that jam.
8 points for the Denmark All-Stars in that last jam. Let's talk about lead jam status for a second here, Snatch. The Denmark All-Stars have had 6 out of 7 lead jams in the first 7 jams of this game.
I mean, that's a pretty strong statement, but credit to Team Indigenous with, 35 points to Denmark's 52. They're not far behind given those lead jammer statuses. We have Iola for Denmark on wearing the star, and number 64 for Team Indigenous. That is Skate the Muss on their second jam for Team Indigenous. Drawn back there by 119. That's Charlie Hedman of Team Denmark All-Stars. And Iola is called for a cut track. You'll see Iola go to the box just there in the corner of your screen. She will take a seat next to Kea. of Denmark. So Indigenous with a lead jam designation for Skate the Muss, and the crowd goes wild as Skate the Muss comes round for the full 5.
Skate the Muss re-engaging with the pack now. Skate the Muss actually has claimed both of Team Indigenous's 2 lead jammer statuses in this first half of the game, showing the strength they have as a jammer, picking up the 10 points. They're really closing in that gap. 52 now plays 45 in favor of the Denmark All-Stars.
This really is the best game in the world, isn't it? I mean, this sport, like...
I mean, I'm a fan.
I mean, it's okay. This is a pretty darn good way to spend a Saturday. And you know what, Smacksby, if we look around at the crowd, I mean, you've got a bit of a shot there. I think this is probably the most crowded we've seen this particular track, this tournament.
I'd say you're probably right there, Snatch.
I am sometimes right.
Sometimes. You have your moments.
And it's 13 Fatality up against 5-6 Robson. For Denmark All-Stars, Robson with the lead, but Fatality not far behind. You will see that speed coming into the pack in your screens in a moment. Robson on the out, but taken out there and calls the jam.
One single point claimed there by the Denmark All-Stars. Again, a testament to the Team Indigenous defensive capabilities. They really closed down the point scoring opportunity there.
And something else for our viewers at home or anyone watching on the live stream from elsewhere in Manchester. Bear in mind that prior to this tournament, Team Indigenous have not played together as a team. Let that sink in for a second. Prior to this tournament, Team Indigenous have not been on track together. They come from all over the world, from all different nations. They are a squad of, I believe, 22 Indigenous women who have been communicating via video for the months leading up to this World Cup, but have pretty much, this is their 3rd game together. It is unbelievable that they are only 8 points behind Denmark with that lack of time to cohere as a team. They are just, to use the colloquial term, smashing it right now.
They certainly are. Play now moving to around the apex. A lot of great recycling work right now from Ponycat. Ponycat has a 100% lead jammer status going into this, the 10th jam of the game, but still being held back quite effectively by that pyramid of Indigenous blockers, but manages to find the inside line there now.
And I hope we get a replay of that toe stop action on the apex in turn 3, because that was spectacular work by Ponycat. We're getting a close-up shot there of the pack, now drawn out. So you can see Ponycat on this straightaway working those laterals, but calls the jam. Woo! Best sport in the world. That's all I'm going to say.
Shout out to our sponsors, Kaya Skates, quad roller skate plates and accessories for roller derby, lifestyle, park skating and dance. It's time. Kaya-brand.com. Next up on the jam line is Fatality for Team Indigenous versus Ayala.
And quite a tight pack there off the jam line. Ayala takes the out. Fatality on the in right now, pushing against a wall. It's including 34 Miss Vorhens for Denmark. And 19 for Denmark, Yaya Woosh. I mean, this is becoming quite characteristic that both teams have settled in, but at the same time, we're not seeing very many quick jam leads. You know, we are more than 30 seconds into this jam. We have not moved past the pivot line. This is incredible to watch. But it is Ayala with the lead after 50 seconds of play in this jam. Pack still at turn 1.
Ayala trying to take that inside line, but gets denied, knocked to the infield. Going to re-engage with Team Indigenous wall now. Meanwhile, Fatality still pushing against a tripod of red. Now getting some assistance from the blockers.
Yeah, Ayala reset quite far back there so she could take a bit more of a run up and reattempt that apex. And oh, did she make that last apex jump? I don't think. No, she didn't, unfortunately. Ayala calls off the jam from the ground.
And let's talk about the level of this play right now. We've already talked about how closely matched these teams are in the rankings, but the fact that they're holding each other to nickel and dime kind of jams despite the length of each jam is just amazing.
And it's a testament to, I think, the very calm, consistent style of both of these teams. I think if you've been watching other teams in this tournament, you have some teams who are really shaking it up each jam. You know, they're doing different plays. But from what I've seen from both these teams, they are sticking with a kind of one or two very clear strategies, which is hold the jammer. They're not sending up huge amounts of offense. They are holding those three walls. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and we could change this in a very short period of time, but I'm going to stick with that for now. My goodness me, we are 30 seconds almost into this jam, and still no lead. This is unreal right now. Robson called lead eventually after 50 seconds or so of play. And Bashful does make it round the pack. Daryl with the takeout of Robson, but I believe they also went out of bounds, so Robson able to keep skating. Bashful with a beautiful sweep to the outside to get round Kaya. And a pile up in turn one. Robson pushing on some downed Indigenous players. Round for 4 more points.
Denmark All-Stars running into some penalty trouble right now. I've seen 3 odd blockers taking trips to the bin there. Bin was actually full with a queue up until just a moment ago when Juggernaut Jelly returned to the track. So that's probably not helping their defensive capabilities.
Some great pinning there from Team Indigenous, but Robson does push past eventually. This is a huge jam for Team Denmark. 13 points on the board so far for Denmark All-Stars. My apologies, it is Denmark All-Stars, not Team Denmark. And Robson comes around with hands on hips, looks a little bit tired, and I mean, why wouldn't she be? 18 points for Robson in that jam to Team Indigenous is 8, putting the score at 78 to 53 in the Denmark All-Stars favor.
That's right, and it looks like we are having an official review called by Team Indigenous. Great moment to hear from one of our sponsors, Snatch.
I'm going to talk about Cheeseball Precision skate bearings, the original hand-prepared skate bearing available in-house at the Quad Skate Shop booth or online, so especially for viewers at home. It's easy being cheesy. Cheeseball bearings are now lactose-free. Available in-house at the Quad Skate Shop booth or online. Cheeseball bearings are the #1 Derby-owned and operated skate bearing. Accept no imitations.
Let's talk a little bit about that last jam. We're still waiting for the result from that official review. 18 points for the Denmark All-Stars. I think that's probably one of their biggest jams in this first period of the game. Obviously, the jammer trying to run it long, I think, in order to clear that penalty box, but finding that the box just kept filling up no matter how long they were playing.
The penalty box is apparently the place to be. They must have kittens there, or just excellent officials, and what better time than to give a shout out, of course, to all our wonderful officials. There are far too many to name. We're getting a beautiful shot there of our skating officials, our wonderful referee crew. And of course, we have our non-skating officials, our people doing stats, photography, the live stream, the bench coaches, the volunteers, just all of the wonderful people. And I will never, ever be able to thank them enough for everything they do for this sport. We all know that roller derby is a grassroots sport. It's a social community. It's unique in that, and there is no better event to showcase that than the Roller Derby World Cup. It is a privilege to be here.
That's right, Snatch. Speaking again about that community, another one of our sponsors in this tournament is Sweet80.com, the new roller derby inspired leisure wear brand dedicated to Claire Sweetabix Lawrence. Sweet80's range of hoodies, jackets, vests, tees, and accessories are perfect for the drag, gym, and suite. And a portion of their profits go to the Claire Lawrence Foundation, which funds brain cancer charities. So check out Sweet80.com. Wear, roll, give.
Thanks for that, Smacksby. Of course, if you are listening to us, it is likely you are at home and not able to join us here in Manchester, but please do check out all the websites that we mention. Give the good people your custom. Give back to our derby community so that we can keep doing this stuff. Oh, we got a lovely shot of the crowd there with some Danish flags. There's a strong show of support for both teams here. I think the wonderful thing about Team Indigenous is that so many people from around the world are getting the opportunity to learn about what Team Indigenous is and where they come from and why they're here. And so we're seeing support from many, many different nations for Team Indigenous, as well, of course, for the wonderful Denmark All-Stars.
It looks like the official review is coming to an end. We will hopefully give you the result of that. I see now that Denmark All-Stars Jammer is going to be starting in the bin, so we're going to have a Power Jam start for Squarrier for Team Indigenous.
And I believe this is the first power start for Team Indigenous.
I believe you're right, actually, yeah.
And this is a huge opportunity for them. Squarrier, a really phenomenal and very experienced player, has been playing roller derby, from what I know, for over 10 years. And there's that experience. She is called lead for Team Indigenous.
That's right, coming up now for our first scoring pass. A bit of a thin pack for both teams right now. Finds that inside line, knocked to it. He's got Miss Voyance to face off with now. Gets through, finds that middle gap. 5 points, Team Indigenous. The
penalty box is starting to empty. Robson back on track, star in hand. You see her re-engaging with Indigenous there. Manages to find a hole and sweep round. Puts the star back on her head. And Squarrier calls the jam. The crowd are very pleased with that. 9 points in that jam for Squarrier of Team Indigenous. And we have a 16-point game right now on the Rainy City Roller Derby track.
That's right. The gap never really exceeding more than 20 to 25 points at any one time. Again, a real testament to how closely ranked these teams are. I see Ponycat now taking the star for the Denmark All-Stars against Skate the Muss for Team Indigenous.
I think this is Skate the Muss' third jam, and possibly the same for Ponycat. Although Ponycat seems to be everywhere on track right now, in, out, shaking it all about. And they are called lead for Denmark All-Stars. Pack now in turn 2. Big hit to the out on Ponycat. Forced to reset.
Skate the Muss been sent to the penalty box or penalty unknown. So this is going to be a Denmark All-Stars power jam. I see Ponycat now got 2 to beat at the front. Great defensive and offensive work from the Denmark All-Stars wall, holding that goal at the back, keeping them out of the defensive play. And it's going to be 5 points to Ponycat and the Denmark All-Stars. Snatch.
Yeah, some wonderful rotating wall action there, though, from Team Indigenous to keep Ponycat at bay for a good while before they broke through that pack. Juggernaut Jelly coming in, offering up some offense to clear the out for Ponycat. One speed at the front. They do so.
Skate the Muss now returns, finds that outside line, manages to get through. Now eligible to score. Ponycat about a third of a lap ahead. Play tucked into the apex. Finds that apex, jumps it, lands it clean, picks up 4 points and calls the jam.
A lovely little offensive sweep there from Charlie Hedman of Denmark All-Stars. He just cleared that inside for Ponycat.
14-point jam in favor of the Denmark All-Stars. We're just over 5 minutes left of regular play in this period. Moving to jam 15. I see Eilert taking the star for the Denmark All-Stars against Interstellar Burst for Team Indigenous.
And I don't think Interstellar Burst has started with the star yet. They have received it, I believe, as a star pass.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
viewers at home, I do apologize if I get my stats wrong. I'm trying to keep track of this as well as watching this amazing game. Aola with toe stops on the in, denied, taken back by 1491. That's Windigo. Oh, but it is Interstellar Burst with the lead for Team Indigenous, and the crowd very, very pleased. Interstellar Burst comes in hot, finds a hole, goes to the out, stays in bounds. Kia with the takeout on the apex. Resets Interstellar Burst. Oh, but Kia is given a forearms. In the meantime, the pack stuck in the turns at the apex. Goodness gracious me, the crowd is waking up to Team Indigenous right now.
We're looking at a 25-point spread now in favor of the Denmark All-Stars. 92 plays 67. But again, Team Indigenous not letting that spread get too unmanageable, Snatch.
And of course not. We have seen much bigger differentials made up in this tournament. Roller Derby is super fun like that. And we have number 25, Nina Brava for Team Indigenous, taking the star for the first time on this power start. Denmark doing a great job there with that tripod, but Nina is the roof, a lead, third lead jam in a row for Team Indigenous.
Aola released from the pack, gets through rather quickly, now eligible to score and chasing down Nina Brava. The pack speeding up in response. I don't know which is moving faster, the jammers or the pack, but the speed is really picked up. I can feel a breeze coming over. Nina Brava sees the danger as the Denmark jammer manages to catch up with them, gets the signal from the bench to call the jam.
And Aola not looking too happy as she returns to her bench, but I mean, when you're outskated, you're outskated, and that was a great job there by Nina Brava getting lead for Indigenous. And although it was a scoreless jam, at this point, going on the defense in terms of putting points up is not a bad strategy with only 2.5 or just over 2.5 minutes left on the period clock.
Robson up jamming against Skate the Muss now. Robson stuck at the back behind a tripod of black from Team Indigenous, being recycled back past the jam lane. I see Skate the Muss.
I like this matchup. I really do. I think we have some very similar skating styles here. Robson very able, as you can see, with these lateral movements on their toe stops, but Skate the Muss so strong and resilient. You see her there on the apex, now sweeping to the in, just edged out of bounds by a hair's breadth. And in the meantime, Robson has picked up leads.
And we have a completed star pass now. Team Indigenous' pivot. That is number 2-2.
Rage. And Rage, you see, coming back into the pack there, actually almost gets past Robson there.
Finds that inside line, picks up 4 points for Team Indigenous.
Robson choosing to run this jam, probably on orders from their bench, but Rage just coming in past a couple of Denmark players there.
I've seen a signal there from Dr. Stiebel, the Denmark bench, saying to stretch out this jam. Looks like they're wanting to, again, get their players out of the box. But again, more of them just going in as time continues. I gotta wonder if stretching out the jams this way is really effective.
And that was quite a dramatic end to that jam as Robson was taken to the out of the apex and did a bit of an electric slide. And what a great decision there to pass the star to Rage, who just took it and ran with it.
It certainly paid off. We are in the dying seconds of this first half. 96 plays 76, 20-point spread. I see Squarrior with the star now for Team Indigenous against Ponycat. Ponycat again with a tremendous lead jammer percentage, knocking Squarrior off to the back, but it's going to be Ponycat recycled back to the apex by Fatality.
Yeah, Fatality wearing the pivot cover for Team Indigenous. Quite a good tactic, as they are very strong in their own right as a jammer. But we have Squarrior pushing at the front. Will this period and out with a lead for Indigenous. Ponycat still pushing on Indigenous's tripod, who edge her to the in.
Empty penalty box now. 80 wheels blazing on the flat track. The pack is seriously moving with speed now. We're in the second straightaway when we haven't really moved that far past the pivot line yet in other jams. But both jammers still stuck in. We're almost a minute through this jam, and it's only now where we could be seeing Ponycat declared lead jammer for the Denmark All-Stars.
Goodness me, what resilience there from both teams. Ponycat looks pretty tired as they come round for their first scoring pass. The star has been passed, as I predicted, almost, to fatality of Team Indigenous.
And a cut track penalty assessed on Ponycat. They're going to the bin. It's going to be a power jam to finish off this period. It's fatality with a star for Team Indigenous.
And fatality. Oh, that is just beautiful. I can't help it. Oh my goodness. That was so calm and controlled around that apex. It makes me want to jump up and down, but I can't because I'm sitting down with a microphone attached to my head. Oh my goodness.
Denmark losing another block to the bend. That's going to halt their defensive capabilities a little bit. There's the big sweeping offense from Indigenous. Seems to be their tactic is to mark a player each and just cause a ruckus on the straightaway. Ponycat now returns to the track. 8 seconds left on the jam clock, but.
And there was a great takeout there from Frexroll to recycle fatality back, but they are through. And oh my goodness, Team Denmark All-Stars has hit the century mark at the end of that last jam, but Team Indigenous with an even jam, only 20 points behind with 80 on the board. Wow.
If that's the first half, Snatch, I can't wait to see the second.
Do you know what? I wish the second half would start now, but I mean, I'm sure the players need a bit of a break to reset. Unbelievable derby here on the Rainy City Roller Derby track. If you are not watching, well, if you are watching, you can hear me. If you know someone who isn't watching, get on your mobile device, contact them immediately and tell them to get on this live stream because they are missing an incredible game right now.
That is correct. We're going to go for a break right now. We'll see you in just under 14 minutes for the second half of Denmark All-Stars versus Team Indigenous here at the Roller Derby World Cup 2018. Peace out. Ayla being recycled now back past the jam line. Clay sticking to that first straightaway. Ayla knocked again to the infield. Going to re-engage with that pack of black blockers at the front. Meanwhile, fatality, a bit of a stunted start. Not quite sure, but getting back on the track. Not quite sure if they are going to be able to continue this jam. And the jam comes to an end for injury. So we're going to take a quick break and that an official timeout.
We are aware that there may be some problems with the feed right now. We are going to look into that very quickly for you and hope that it rights itself shortly during this timeout.
In the meantime, for those of you who can still hear us at home, a shout out to S1 Helmets, the official helmet of the 2018 Roller Derby World Cup. Best fit, best protection, made for roller derby. Get a lifer, be a lifer. S1 Helmets. Now, as we were saying before, roller derby, a great socially aware community we have here, and of course that is reflected in the sponsors that we have here for the Roller Derby World Cup. Obviously, we mentioned Sweet 80 earlier, a great organization working to raise funds for brain cancer charities. Of course, on the site as well here we have Sea Shepherd Foundation, who are a marine wildlife conservation organization. Make sure to check them out on the internet. Search for Sea Shepherd Foundation. If you happen to be coming down to Event City later on in the weekend, obviously we are on day 3 of the tournament, but you happen to be coming down to visit us perhaps later today or for the last day, make sure to check out their stall at Vendor Village as well. They've got a lot of interesting work they're doing, and we hope to be able to hear more about that later on. I see Fatality being assisted off the track now. Big thanks to our events medical team for looking after our skaters here this weekend. We could not have this tournament without them.
Yeah, I think I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but we wish Fatality a very quick recovery. And whilst that might have slowed the pace a little bit, I am sure that both the jammers now lining up will be looking to speed it right back up. We have 3-1 Pony Cat up against 23 Bashful.
And again, Denmark All-Stars starting this one with a blocker deficit. They've hit a lot of penalty trouble. Interesting highlights of that. Miss Voyens in that first half, racking up 6 penalties already in only 30 minutes of gameplay. The other standout penalty-wise is Pony Cat, who is on 4.
And I believe Pony Cat did earn 2 penalties in 1 jam.
They did very early on in the half, I believe.
Yeah, and Miss Voyens, I mean, she is a fantastic blocker, but she tends to be out in the front of the pack quite a lot. And when it's a jammer pushing you one-on-one at the front of the pack, every little mistake you make or is going to be picked up very easily by the refs. But, you know, I mean, this might be a little controversial to say. Sometimes penalties are worth it if they get your jammer out. But if your coach doesn't tell you that, folks at home, don't listen to me.
We would never tell you to commit penalties in order to aid your jammers. But it's certainly not holding them back, though. 35 points scored and 6 for 6 lead jammer status for Pony Cat. So that is a tremendous number of points picked up despite the number of times they've hit the box as well. Jam now underway. Pony Cat against Bashful. 27 minutes left on the clock. And
a nice little close-up there of those 2 jammers. The pack is just like sucked into each other. Is that Bashful on the out? It is! Oh my goodness! A lead jammer for Bashful of Team Indigenous.
Pony Cat chasing them down. Got about a third of a lap disadvantage right now. Pack speeding up in response. The Denmark All-Stars trying to take that front line. Charlie Henderson and Keller out in front. Falling behind though is Pony Cat, not quite able to keep up with that pace. Bashful picks up the points. 2 points there, calls the jam. That's probably the fastest we've seen them move this entire game, Snatch.
I mean, Bashful's speed skating is unreal. That she was a blur as she went past us here at the announcer table. Wonderful, wonderful skating there from Bashful of Team Indigenous. And my goodness me, we have a 4-point game. I am not worthy to watch this right now. We have 4-4-0. That's Tinker for Denmark All-Stars. And they are up against Rage for Team Indigenous. Both fabulous jammers. Oh my goodness, Rage on the out! Oh wow, that was unbelievable.
Rage is going to try to hit that pack strong. Tinker still stuck in amongst that pack. Can't get any purchase on the straightaway. Rage finds the middle gap. Picks up 5 points. We have had ourselves a lead change. Team Indigenous now in front by a point. Meanwhile, we have had AC Dizzy, the pivot for Denmark All-Stars, accepting that star pass. Now your active jammer for the Denmark All-Stars.
And I've lost my words because the way that Rage came into that pack so darn low, like some kind of ninja.
That's right, and you know what?
We
don't have words. This is the best time for me to do a sponsor read because we can't talk about anything else. Roll Line, one of our track sponsors here at the Roller Derby World Cup. Tailored gear to fit your needs. The Italian skating experience since 1999. I see Robsham lining up against Supernova. 104 now plays 106 in favor of Team Indigenous.
And this is Supernova's first jam, I believe, today for Team Indigenous. And we see Robson drawn back there, tries to take the outside line, shut down, tries to take the inside, stuck behind the wall. In the meantime, Supernova battling against that wall at the front. Oh, it is Robson on the out, and they stay in bounds despite a last-minute hit from Rossler to pick up lead for Denmark All-Stars.
Pack moving slowly now into the second straight away. Supernova's got one to beat, taken to the infield and going to get recycled back to the turn. Meanwhile, Robson pushing against that big wall of Indigenous blockers there. There's a whole 4 wall in front of them. They're pairing up, getting some assistance there from the Denmark pivot. Team Indigenous losing a blocker now to the bin.
No, that's not a blocker. That is, in fact, Supernova, who has removed the star and is sitting in the box, leaving Denmark All-Stars on a power jam. This is not what Team Indigenous wanted right now, but some fabulous goating in the back there from the Denmark All-Stars. But Robson calls the jam. Denmark will have a power start as we head into jam 6.
And another lead change in as close as we had the last one. 109 now plays 106 in favor of the Denmark All-Stars. 23 minutes left on the clock going into jam 6 match.
I mean, anyone who said that, you know, we play sport or we watch sport to relax, I mean,
This is not relaxing.
This is not relaxing. I am very tense right now. Aola on the power start for Denmark All-Stars. Aola, when she hits her stride, is very difficult to stop. But if Team Indigenous can hold her back on this power start, and they are doing their valiant best to do so, we see Supernova back out of the box. Oh, she doesn't get lead, but she sneaks round the pack, and oh my goodness, takes the inside of the apex.
Ayla sees the danger call off the
goodness.
jam right there. Smart move, pointless jam, but the speed of Supernova coming out of the box there. Ayla did take lead quite decisively, but Supernova finding that gap and shutting it down.
I mean, that was a lot to deal with right now.
That was a lot to deal with. Quick shout out to Rydell Skates Roller Derby World Cup, brought to you in part by the new Rydell Solaris. The performance you demand, the comfort you've been missing. Rydell Skates.
And it is 6-7 Interstellar Burst up against 3-2-1 Ponycat. Toe stop on the in. Ponycat with a very quick lead, probably one of the quickest leads we have seen this game.
Interstellar Burst trying to take that inside line, but knocked back into the infield by Kia. Going to try to re-engage with that wall. Ponycat stuck at the front. Again, the pack not moving any much further than the pivot line here, Snatch.
The pivot line is clearly the place to be. Interstellar Burst re-engages at the back of the pack. Has some offense coming in from Windigo. Pack stuck in turn 1. Denmark with eyes on 2-5 Nina Brava, who has received the star for Team Indigenous. A great tactical opportunity there for Indigenous. Oh my goodness me. Nina Brava through for 4. Ponycat running this jam and takes a lovely little step on the outside. Looks at that bench, is being told to run it. All players now on track. Oh no, I spoke too soon. That's Kea. 064 Denmark All-Stars off to the box. And they have the pivot helmet on. The pivot helmet cover, I should say. And now we're losing 119 Charlie Hedman. He will take a seat in the box. And Nina Brava through again. She will pick up those 2 ghost points of the blockers for Denmark who are in the box.
Meanwhile, Ponycat stuck at the back behind these Team Indigenous blockers. No pack called. Nina Brava's only got 2 to beat, but one of those blockers they've got to beat is Juggernaut Jelly, a total powerhouse for the Denmark All-Stars.
Oh yeah, Juggernaut Jelly is strong and will just keep you there. And she does a great job there holding back Nina Brava. They high-five a little on their way back to the bench. We're all friends here, really, once the whistle's blown.
13 points to 12 in that last jam in favor of the Denmark All-Stars. Only a 1-point gain for them. 1-2 is going to play 1-1-8 out to Sucker Punch Skate Shop, Europe's original derby owned and devoted skate shop. Visit them at suckerpunchskateshop.com.
Incredible that that last jam was so close when Denmark did have the lead, and that was a star pass. So again, Team Indigenous doing a great job even without lead. It is 4-4-0 for Denmark All-Stars. Tinker, who takes a blocker to the floor, but is called lead. Now fighting at the front, round out of the pack. Coming round for the first scoring pass. In the meantime, another star pass to Team Indigenous.
It looks like Skate the Must is going to take the star now. Was Pivot, now active jammer for Team Indigenous. Tinker going to push ahead in front, got one more to beat, gets round. Signaled again to stretch out the jam. Is this really working for them? They're giving away a lot of points every time they extend these jams longer than they need to, Snatch.
I've got to say, this is a little risky for Denmark right now, and they're normally quite a conservative's the wrong word, but they're quite a safe team. They play the strategies that works for them. So we got to trust that the bench coach knows his team well enough that they can hold on to this very narrow lead.
I mean, when your bench coach is Dr. Stevel, certainly someone with a lot of experience, we have an official review being called now by Team Indigenous. Quick shout out to one of our sponsors, Roller Derby City, skater-owned and operated merch and uniform company based here in the UK, but shipping worldwide, supplying uniforms and merch for teams, leagues, roller derby brands and events, including, in fact, the team announcer shirt that I'm wearing right now. Thank you very much for that. As well as individual customized items such as scrim tops, officials gears and referee shirts. Check them out online. Roller Derby City, providers of most of my wardrobe.
You can see on your screens just a small section of the crowd that we have here at the Rainy City Roller Derby track. It is electric in the house right now, and just people who know me will know how rare it is that I'm lost for words, but this is really one of those games where you're seeing the best of both teams. Not necessarily every jam, but some moments of pure brilliance on track. We will bring you the results of this official review as soon as we find out just what it is they are talking about.
We certainly will. Big shout out as well to our sponsors, Blood and Thunder. They believe life's better on roller skates. Visit them at bloodandthunderbag.com for roller derby inspired apparel.
Life is better on roller skates, really, isn't it?
I mean, I have thought that. I'm certainly a lot more graceful on skates. I mean, not by much, but I'm fairly clumsy without them.
I'm not graceful in any context. I'm disgraceful, but I don't know. You know, you got to put.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't say that out loud.
Well, everyone was thinking it. You feel powerful on skates. That's the ultimate, isn't it? Robson here with a power start. So that was it. Nina Brava with the star in that last jam, who is staying.
Skate the Muss, who's currently in possession of the star and in the bend. So we're going to have a power jam start to Robson and the Denmark All-Stars, taken back from the infield to the turn there. Finds that inside line, got 1, 2, 3. The wall just keeps waterfalling around them. They find that outside line, knocked out, declared lead, but recycled back.
What a great power kill here from Team Indigenous. Denmark now coming in with some more active offense, but those Indigenous players are just everywhere on track right now.
That's right. Skate the Must, Jammer now returning from the penalty box, going to attack that wall, but Robson finally finds the gap, manages to get out on that outside line despite the chase from Indigenous's pivot. Supernova, that's the one I was going for. Robson back in to engage for those points. Skate the Musk stuck on that back line, finds the outside line, takes the whip and is out to score.
We love a whip, don't we? A little bit of old school.
Love a good assist.
And that jam is whistled. 131, 118. Let's see what that score changes to. 135 for Team Denmark. It feels like they should have had more points in that jam. It felt more contested.
That was a huge power jam kill in favor of Team Indigenous. They really, they disrupted the back enough that it was very difficult for Robson to make any purchase, and that's what you got to do against Denmark All-Stars.
They are, as they have said themselves, strong, resilient Indigenous.
Certainly
on and off the track. Eola now with the star for Denmark, and that's 23. Bashful for Team Indigenous for a while now. first time in a while, sorry, that the penalty box is empty. Aola on the toe stop there with a pirouette and a spin and another spin. Oh my goodness, was she a ballerina in her last life? She is lead for Denmark All-Stars.
Maybe they're a ballerina in this life as well as a derby skater.
I mean,
which would be impressive.
It would be very unfair if she was good at all of the things.
Oh, it would be, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Finds that inside line on the toe stops, picks up the 5 points. Meanwhile, Team Indigenous Jammer, we've had a completed star pass now to Daryl. Daryl now the active jammer with star in hand for Team Indigenous.
And Daryl, an absolute veteran skater for Gotham Girls Roller Derby. They have a great head for a tough game when the chips are down. Unfortunately, they don't get a chance to put points on the board as Aola calls the jam. And Aola, one of those jammers who, as I've said before, when she hits her stride out of the pack, she is very, very difficult to stop. So a great job there from Denmark, who have edged out something of a lead in the last couple of jams.
That's right. They're certainly forcing Indigenous to change up their game. Well, that's the 8th star pass for Team Indigenous in this game. And it's purely as reaction to Denmark managing to get out and get lead. They really need to up that lead percentage more if they're going to close this 26-point gap.
But at the same time, they have used those star passes so successfully to challenge Denmark. Oh, and a hit from one of Team Indigenous' blockers who is going to the box. That's 8-12, Rossler. Tinker with the star for Denmark is lead and on their first scoring pass. We have, 207 did take a step off track, but she is on track and skating. That's coming round on her first scoring pass for Team Indigenous.
Team Indigenous managing to hold them to a single scoring pass. There are only 4 points picked up by the Denmark All-Stars. 148 is going to play 118. 30-point spread now. Probably one of the biggest spreads we've seen in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not gone out over 20 points for quite some time now. Or at least it feels like that. And I think Denmark have started to up the pace a little bit. They are very able to skate exceptionally fast and reform exceptionally fast, and they're using that to their advantage. 3-2-1 Ponycat on the in, left wide open there by Team Indigenous, and Ponycat is going to take full advantage of this lead jammer status coming in for their scoring pass.
Rage managing to drop the star cover there, having to go back and reclaim it in order to continue. Ponycat also still attacking at the front, finds that inside line, takes it, picks up 5 points. We now see Rage chasing them down. It's going to be a race. Who can hit the pack fastest?
And both skaters, of course, exceptionally speedy. Oh, but Ponycat decides to play the safe strategy and to call it off before Rage can engage with the pack.
Let's talk a little bit about lead jam percentage. Denmark now 8 leads in a row. Wendigo. Team Indigenous not scoring the last 5 jams now.
I mean, it is clear from that last scoring run that Denmark, I think, have settled a little bit more. They're starting to remember that their strategies work really well, and Robson shows how that's going to happen with a lead for Denmark. So that'll be the 9th lead in a row, and we are in jam 13 of this second half.
Bashful is still going to be pushing away in that pack. See them coming around into the turn now, heading towards that second straightaway. Big, massive red blockers right there sitting in front of them.
Yeah, that does not look like a fun pack to be snarled up in. Robson finds a gap, full 5 points, as she has lapped the Indigenous jammer, Bashful, who has now removed the star. A star pass has been affected of Team Indigenous. That's been passed to 207 Squaria.
Squaria's going to get recycled back as far as Juggernaut Jelly on the end of the straightaway there. Juggernaut Jelly taking a bit of a tumble. Not sure entirely how that happened. Meanwhile, Robson pushing away at that pack. We've got a scrum coming into turn 3 now. It's a pile up on aisle 4. Someone got a mop.
These floors have been very slippery this weekend, so don't jinx it. The pack stuck coming back towards the jam line. Robson takes the in. Beautiful toe stop work there by Robson to stay in bounds for 5 more points. This is a big jam for Robson and the Denmark All-Stars.
Denmark really extending that lead now, 50 points ahead, 11 minutes left on the clock. Robson decides to hit it and quit it, calls the jam at that, picking up a further 2 points. 170 plays 118.
So Denmark definitely with the momentum here, but the crowd, I think I'm correct in saying, very much behind Team Indigenous. I mean, we have a decent contingent of Denmark supporters in the stands, but every time Indigenous is out of the pack, we hear this roar come from the crowd.
That's right. Team timeout called by Denmark. They're going to want to reassess their strategy, cool their jets a little bit, figure out where they're going to go from here. Shout out to our sponsors, Roller Derby Shirt Club. Get a different shirt from a different roller derby league from around the world every month. RollerDerbyShirtClub.com. And remember, join the conversation with us on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Use the official hashtag RDWC2018. Send us your predictions, send us your scares to watch out for, send us pictures of your cats. I'm down for that. RDWC 2018.
So we're seeing a nice little shot there of Denmark on track, and now zoomed out to see both teams standing in the straightaway as we wait for the results. Oh, not the results, sorry. Just a timeout. And we have Juggernaut Jelly sitting in the box for Denmark All-Stars, but otherwise a full complement of players on track.
Airl is going to start off this one with a star for the Denmark All-Stars against Rage.
And I do enjoy this matchup. Two very tenacious, gutsy jammers. Oh, Aola is going for that inside line. Oh,
no, denied. That's going to be number 25 for Team Indigenous. That is Nina Brava, really holding that inside line for dear life.
Rage did get past Denmark there, I believe, but then was knocked last minute to the inside just as she is then. Resets all the way back. Aola, in the meantime, working her way to the front. Takes the in. Oh, she loves that apex inside line, but Rage is out of the pack. For Indigenous, we're going to have another bit of a race. Pack stopped in turn 1. They are not running the gauntlet here. Ooh, Aola comes in, takes a blocker to the ground, calls it off, looks to the refs, kind of checks, was that a penalty? Am I good? I'm good. Okay, I'm going to go back to my bench right now.
2 points to the Denmark All-Stars in that last pass. 1 point to Team Indigenous. 172 is now coming 119. We're in the last 10 minutes of the game here, and the Denmark All-Stars have really run away with it. They've really extended that gap. Can Team Indigenous pick it up?
Well, it's a new jammer for Team Indigenous in that they've not been put on the stars so far. That's Cherry Popper. Oh, what a great name. I just got it. Cherry Popper. And Tinker with the star once again for Denmark. Really wrestling with that 2-wall at the front. They are through for lead. Cherry Popper still stuck right, forced to recycle right back behind the jammer line now, behind Kea. All players now on track.
We had a bit of a pile-up coming into the turn there. Now seems to have sorted itself out. Tinker managed to break out through the middle, picks up 5 points. I see Cherry Popper with 2 to beat at the front. Kier at Al Hedman as well. Kier going off for a penalty, and it is 1 to beat. Manages it. Cherry Popper now out and eligible to score. Tinker trying to get a few more points and close that up.
And yeah, that last pass saw Kaya off to the penalty box for Team Denmark All-Stars, and that's Kaya might be in some penalty trouble. They have taken a seat a fair few times.
That's right. We have a team timeout called by Team Indigenous. This is their first time out called. Shout out to our sponsors, Double Threat Skates, expert advice from experienced staff. Head to doublethreatskates.co.uk. And Snatch, I mean, we saw a fairly balanced game coming into the first half. And then it just seems to be that Denmark All-Stars have really run away with it, especially in the last 10 minutes. What do you think the conversation was at halftime that changed that up?
I think it's difficult to say, but I think I'm going to just link back to what I said earlier about how Indigenous have not played before this tournament. They've not played together as a team. And Denmark have, they had Road to Manchester a couple of months ago, so they had 5 games there to really kind of join together as a team and to know what they're about. And I think it's just coming down to, we got this, guys. Like, we know what we're doing. Calm it down. Stop worrying about the star passes. Let us play our game. Because I think Indigenous were taking those star passes, running those jams, not letting Denmark control even when they had lead. And now Denmark is remembering, actually, we are in control most of the time. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts. We have Ponycat up against BlackRock. Is that BlackRock Bruiser? So, first time with the star for Team Indigenous.
Denmark All-Stars heading a bit of penalty trouble again. They've got 2 in the box. Kier now coming out. Helping Ponycat through the inside line. Gets denied. 8-1-2. That's Rossler knocking them to the infield. BlackRock Bruiser trying to take that inside lane as well. Knocked to the side as well. Looking like Kier was behind that block.
And we have Ponycat out of the pack. All players on track. Pack still in that turn 1. What is it with turn 1 today? Are there puppies there? Well, Ponycat doesn't care about no puppies because they just went through there like they were just practicing their laps.
That could be because puppies are neither ponies nor cats. But 12 leads in a row now for Denmark All-Stars. Ponycat behind a fair few of them there. 5 points picked up for the Denmark All-Stars in that pass.
Yeah, Team Indigenous broken apart a bit. Look at this pass here from Ponycat. Yeah, Team Indigenous not holding as strong as before, but another star pass which they have used so effectively, and that is to Windigo.
Another set of 4 points picked up by Ponycat. Sees the danger, calls the jam. 19 points in that last jam.
And some strong vibes there coming from Denmark's bench. Sorry, Smax, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just very excited.
That's quite all right. But again, it is remarkable that we're seeing like 18-point jams, 19-point jams, and these are some of the biggest we've seen in this entire game. These jams have been so low scoring, but the scores are huge. 198 to 119.
And we have Sophie Babe for the first time with the star for Denmark this game. Sophie Babe had a great game yesterday against Aotearoa. Really, really phenomenal jammer. But in this case, they are denied by Nina Brava. Resets to the back, jukes around. Nina Brava takes the out. Have they got purchase? They are staying in bounds. Indigenous swarming at the front. Oh, Sophie Bay with a knee on the inside of the apex. Lead yet to be assessed. 30 seconds in.
Bashful now with start in hand. I think they might have assumed that lead had been awarded to Sophie Bay, so they're not going to be able to take lead in this one. Nina Brava off to the penalty box, doing a great job there, but going to take a little seat for a little while.
Oh, what a hit out there from number 64, Skate the Muss on Ponycat. And Ponycat comes up against Bashful there. I think that's going to be a back block. I am correct. Sophie Bay off to the box on a back block. They did come in very fast to Bashful there. It is a power jam opportunity for Bashful and Team Indigenous. Not something they've had a lot of. Oh, what a hit out from Juggernaut Jelly on the turn there.
Absolutely huge hip check there from the Danish blocker. We're seeing the pack reassemble itself. Coming into turn 3 now. that huge wedge of Danish blockers right in front. It looks like we may have seen a completed star pass though. Nina Brava in possession of the star, finds the inside line, now eligible to score for Team Indigenous. That took nearly 2 minutes to get them through. The Danish defense is seriously bearing down on Team Indigenous now.
And that will be a point for Nina at the end of that jam. Unbelievable resilience there. We would expect nothing less from Team Indigenous. Bashful took a huge hit. They really struggled getting back up. And Nina Brava did a great job receiving the star there. We have 3 minutes 44 seconds left on the period clock. 198 for Team Denmark plays 122 for Team Indigenous.
We have an empty send bin right now. 80 wheels ablazing on the flat track here in Manchester, UK for Roller Derby World Cup 2018. You're watching Denmark versus Team Indigenous right now. 3.5 minutes left on the clock.
And it is 5:04 Cherry Popper for the second jam for Team Indigenous. Cherry Popper being redrawn back by Fricks. Resets behind the jam line, comes in. In the meantime, Eula stuck at the pivot line with Indigenous, who have started to get their walls back together in this last couple of jams. They were in some real trouble a minute ago, but are now holding strong. That wall of Indigenous blockers just not moving beyond the slightest centimeter. A forearms is being whistled on number 10. That's AC Dizzy of Denmark All-Stars. Aola just grinding away at that Indigenous wall. Look at the refs going, are you serious right now? But the skates are moving forward. She has purchased. Oh, taken to the in, drawn back. She is going to reset quite fast. She likes to do that on the drawback to get up some speed. Daryl goes into Daryl. Looks at the ref to say, I think that was a back block, but nothing is called.
Let's talk about that move to take that run up against the wall there. Look at what Eola managed to do. Dragging back the Team Indigenous blockers, allowing them to assist their jammer through.
I think we've got an injury on track, hence why that jam is being called.
It looks like we're going to go to a quick official time out right now. Just a great moment to remind you about Roller Derby Elite, one of our sponsors here. Our boots are like pillows for your feet. Make your mom proud. Wear Roller Derby Elite.
I mean, who doesn't want to make their mom proud? Or their dad? Or any other parent?
I just want like dogs to like me more than anything, really.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
I hope so. I do a lot to like encourage that. Cats, you know, I love cats, but they just don't think I'm much to talk about. How did we get onto this?
I don't know either. It has been a very long day. We do apologize, viewers at home. Team announcer has a lot to deal with. You might think we just sit here and talk on the microphone, but in fact we are very busy and important people. 198 for Team Denmark plays 122 for Team Indigenous. We are going to be going into jam 19 of this second half, and just under 2 minutes left on the period clock, so maximum of 2 more jams, really, realistically.
Chances are, yeah. But remember, stick around on this track, because after this, we're going to have South Africa, Team ZA versus Costa Rica, and that's shaping up to be a pretty interesting match as well. I think we see now that is Cherry Popper for Team Indigenous skating back to their bench of their own accord, on their own steam, so that's something we can all attest to. That's a good thing.
Yeah, Team Indigenous having some bad luck with injuries this game. I think Cherry Popper has been hit in the eye or has had some kind of eye-related injury. So we wish them some recovery time and be gentle to yourselves, people with injuries, because your body is so important for this sport. We see Denmark All-Stars in a little huddle on track. I'm pretty confident that if they go into this jam and get leads, that they will call it when it is time to end the game. Does that make sense?
I think that sounds about right. Having said that, though, let's look at the timeout situation here, because Team Indigenous still have 2 timeouts that they can call. It's not going to be enough to really clinch the game, I don't think. But let's remember, score differences are super important when it comes to deciding the rankings of this tournament. And for Team Indigenous to really improve their standings at the end of day 3, they want to close that gap in the last couple of jams. And Denmark All-Stars, conversely, they want that gap to be as big as possible because they're looking for maybe like a top 10 finish at this point.
I mean, yes, of course, if you are one of the lucky and fortunate people who has purchased a live stream pass for this 4 days of the tournament, we will be going into quarterfinals later, and tomorrow, of course, semifinals and finals, but there will also be knockout win-loss games for the 9 to 16 ranked teams. I think I got that correct. Look on the website if you're not too sure. Roller Derby World Cup. It is 4-4-0 Tinker on the jam line for Denmark All-Stars up against 2-0-7 Squaria. And a fun little fact about Squaria was actually recruited for Team Indigenous, or was found because they had actually set up a Facebook group for Indigenous women who play roller derby. And when Azion, who set up Team Indigenous, was looking to recruit, they found Squaria and they became part of the Team Indigenous roster. Still never ceases to amaze me, and I've mentioned it before, how incredible is it that these women have only played, this is only their 3rd game together. And some of these teams at this World Cup have been playing together for years. Some of them train together regularly in their home leagues, and it's such an honor to have Team Indigenous with us for this game.
It certainly is. If you are just joining us, first off, where have you been? You missed a great game. Secondly, you're watching Denmark All-Stars versus Team Indigenous here at the Roller Derby World Cup 2018, coming to you live from Event City here in Manchester, England. I'm the Great Smacksby. I'm here with the Golden Snatch. There's literally under 2 minutes left in this game.
And I am just going to make a prediction right now, because I like making predictions, that when this game is whistled at its conclusion, that we are going to hear some serious amounts of noise from the crowd, some serious love.
I think you could be right there. For both these teams, they've given it all on the track right now.
We're having a little cheeky glimpse there from the jammers. That's why I love roller derby. Oh goodness, just look at Tinker and Squaria. Grins on their faces. So proud and happy to be here. Tinker having a little bit of a jig on the jam line, amping themselves up for this next jam.
I do love a good jam line dance off.
Oh, it's the best thing. And although you can't see it on camera right now, Team Indigenous are lined up by their bench with their flags, representing their different Indigenous nations, which is just a beautiful sight to see.
That's right. Quick shout out to another one of our sponsors here, Reveille Contact Wear. Leading tech performance equipment for women in contact sports. The Reveille, a bust and shoulders protection for women, was awarded an ISPO, the world's largest sports and innovation fair in the world. Start the revolution. ReveilleContactwear.com. Hashtag make an impact.
And we're just having a little bit of a cleanup on the track. You can see that in the top left corner of your screens. Concrete is a pesky surface as it is. Great for speed. Great for derby, but also, ow. So we don't want to have any spillages or anything on track. Thank you to our wonderful track repair people for keeping us safe. And with the end of that timeout, we're gonna see the pack line up.
Five seconds called. Jam now underway. We've got 80 wheels ablazing on this flat track here in Manchester. Squaria lining up against Tinker now. Scrum going into the pivot line. We're coming into the turn now. I see Squaria just peeping out in front there. Taken to the infield and taken back. Tinker on the outside trying to make purchase against that Team Indigenous wall. Trying to get a little assistance from their pivot there. Finds that outside. Taken. Held there at the outside line coming into the straightaway. Finds the outside line, lead jammer to Tinker and the Denmark All-Stars.
And that took almost 40 seconds for Tinker to make it out, but great resilience there and some fabulous reforming from Team Indigenous, who are now being a little bit broken apart by Denmark. Squarrier still working her way on that initial, waving the helmet cover in the air. Star Pass has been completed, and that is to Windigo of Team Indigenous, battling their way through the pack like they were born to do it. Want to beat at the front, and the crowd erupts.
Jam called there by Tinker. 4 points picked up by the Denmark All-Stars. Timeout called by Team Indigenous. They want to make the most out of what could possibly be the last jam of this game here between Denmark All-Stars and Team Indigenous. Denmark have now broken the double century. 203 plays 1-2-2.
And of course, it may well be that this is their last game together, because if you don't place in the top 16 of this tournament.
That's true.
Yeah, if you don't place in the last top 16 of this tournament, then you do not have track time tomorrow, unfortunately. There is only so many hours in the day, and whilst we wish we could spend all of them doing derby-related things, we only have this hall until tomorrow. So quite an emotional moment, perhaps, as Skate the Merce lines up for Team Indigenous, wearing the star. A mercifully empty penalty box. And let's hope it stays like that for this last jam. Ponycat 3-2-1 to Team Denmark All-Stars on the line. Oh, and I'm getting quite emotional thinking this may be the last jam, or will be the last jam.
All right, we're lined up. 5 seconds is called. This is the last jam of the game. Let's have some roller derby action here at the Rainy City Roller Derby track. The jam is underway, and Skate the Muss charging ahead, but it is Ponycat on the outside line, picks up lead jam for the Denmark All-Stars.
Yeah, a really close near takeout there by Indigenous blockers, but not quite.
Skate the Muss able to re-enter there. Denmark losing a blocker to the bend. Finds that middle lane, is through, eligible to score. 5 points picked up by Denmark All-Stars already.
Meantime, Ponycat, yes, on their second. Oh, I was going to be their second scoring pass, and a failed apex jump gives some room for Skate the Muss to sweep on through.
4 points to Team Indigenous in that last pass. Ponycat's got a whole league worth of Team Indigenous blockers to beat. Gets past Nina Brava, picks up another 4 points.
And beautiful work on the outside there by Skate the Muss, who has a look at her bench and goes, I know I'm not lead, but I'm just going to check in with you. Ponycat looks at her bench. Dr. Stevel is telling them to run it. Skate the Muss comes in to that Denmark tripod, takes a knee, is going to reset, but I believe a penalty has been called on number 10, AC Dizzy, for Denmark.
Denmark losing a lot of blockers now to the bend. There goes 5-1-7 as well. That's Andy War.
And
Skate the Muss picks up another 4 points for the Troubles.
Yep, that means that Skate the Muss has those ghost points as Denmark's blockers have a seat in the box.
And that's it. Jam is over. Final unofficial score at this point, 2-2-1 to Denmark All-Stars, 1-3-4 to Team Indigenous. That's it, folks. That's roller derby.
I mean, as always, it is a pleasure and a privilege to announce with you, Smacksby, but I mean, what a game to announce for.
That was a tremendous game to call, and so glad I got to do this one with you, Snatch.
And you know what? We will probably never see a game like that again. Because this is historic. Team Indigenous' first time at the World Cup, and we get to call one of the games. I feel very, very honoured right now, and obviously what a great privilege to call for Denmark as well.
That's right.
Who are just a fabulously resilient and humorous team as well. Such good sports people. And you see on your screen there the crowd just giving some serious love to Indigenous, who are going to be lining up for that tunnel of honour from Denmark, who are, I think, just as pleased to have played them as we are to have announced them.
That's right, Snatch. We've had a lovely time announcing for you here on the Rainy City Roller Derby track, but now we're going to let someone else take a turn. We can't just talk to you all day. Next up on this track is going to be Team ZA versus Costa Rica. But for now, I've been the Great Smacksby.
I've been the Golden Snatch. Thank you so much for joining us on the Roller Derby World Cup 2018 live stream, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
See you later, folks.